It's the creepiest, scariest, weirdest, most bizarre episode of the year. It's the Halloween Spooktacular. I am so excited for this episode. Happy Halloween from me to you. This is Avery After Dark, and I'm your host, Avery Ross. This episode, I have scary stories for you. The creepiest, strangest ones I could find. You ready? Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, give this video a like, and turn on post notifications so you never miss an episode. I want you to get cozy, grab a blankie, get all situated, grab your snacks, maybe a little drink, a soda pop, or maybe some juice, or some hot chocolate. Ooh, that makes me want hot chocolate. Our first story. It was my second year of college when I started dating Lily. We'd been seeing each other for about 3 months when she invited me to her hometown for the night, a little place out in the countryside about 3 hours away from campus. She said she wanted me to meet her mom and her sister. I liked her a lot. It felt like something serious, you know? We drove up on Friday afternoon. It was October. The air was chilly, and all the trees had turned that deep orange and red that only lasts for about a week before they're gone. Lily's family lived in one of those big old farmhouses, wraparound porch, cornfields on either side. Her mom was warm, talkative, just like Lily. She made roast chicken and apple pie. Her younger sister, maybe 16, was quiet, but nice. The night was great, comfortable. Until her mom mentioned Ken. That was Lily's dad. She said it casually, like, Ken used to love this recipe. Then there was a pause, and she added softly, he passed away 5 years ago. Car accident. On the highway. They pointed to a family photo of them hanging above the fireplace, and there was Ken. Tall, dark blonde hair. Looked a little like Woody Harrelson, actually. Crisp, ironed white shirt and bright red tie. I told them I was sorry for their loss. Then Lily said something that made me pause. We still see him sometimes, she said. Not like ghosts in movies, her mom added, more like he's around. They talked about it for maybe 20 minutes, little things. The smell of his cologne in the hallway, catching glimpses of him, a shadow moving through the kitchen at night, the back door sometimes unlocking on its own. Lily said she saw him through the window of the garage late one night. It was only for a few seconds, but he was standing near his workbench in the garage. This was about 6 months after he passed, and she said he was just standing there, smiling. Then he was gone. They said they would go into the garage sometimes and find his tools rearranged. Like he was still out there working on something. All three of them, her mom, and her sister, all nodded along like it was fact. He was still there. But I'll admit, in the moment I wasn't convinced. I didn't really know what to think. But part of me believed that this was just their grief. They wanted to see him. We eventually changed the subject the next day, spent some more time with her family. Then that night, Saturday, I got in the car and began my drive back. I had a long way and an early class on Monday. Lily decided to stay another night with her family. So it was just me. After sunset, I got onto the highway, and not long into my drive, I started to get this strange feeling, like I wasn't alone. I was on one of those winding 2-lane roads that cuts through miles of forest. I told myself it was just because I hadn't been out here before. But about 30 minutes in, I really started to feel like I was being watched. Not paranoid, just that faint, prickling sensation that someone is behind you. Maybe it was just the creepy ghost stories from the night before. It felt like I was all alone on the road. I rarely ever saw another car. And it was pretty dark out there, pitch black. I quickly glanced in the rearview mirror. Nothing, just the back seat, my overnight bag, and the glow of the dashboard lights. The feeling didn't go away. In fact, it got stronger. A few minutes later, I looked again. And this time, I saw him. A man, maybe in his 50s, sitting in the middle of the back seat, Tall, dark blonde hair, crisp white shirt. He wasn't doing anything, just sitting there, smiling. Calm, polite, like someone waiting for you to say hello. I slammed the brakes and the car swerved onto the shoulder. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might black out. I quickly turned around. Empty. No one there. Just the sound of the engine ticking. I sat there for maybe a full minute, catching my breath. It sounded nuts, but it looked like Ken. The man in the back seat looked just like Lily's father. I didn't know what to do, so I drove the rest of the way home with the overhead lights on. Creeped out the entire drive home, constantly looking in the rearview mirror, but he never appeared again. I eventually made it back to campus, got to my bedroom, laid in bed, and wondered what had just happened. The next morning, I woke up, made some breakfast, and got on my laptop to do some work. The apartment was empty, very quiet. I had been sitting there for maybe 10 minutes when in my laptop, I saw the reflection of a man standing right behind me. Tall, broad shoulders, white shirt, blonde hair. I jumped up, turned around, and he was gone. There was nobody. But the faint smell of men's cologne hung in the air. Not mine. Not anything I owned. It was familiar, though, the same scent Lily's mom had mentioned at dinner. Old Spice, her dad's favorite. Then the smell faded, my heart pounding. I told Lily about what had happened the next week when she got back to campus, and she just smiled, shrugged her shoulders, and said, "Told you." Lily and I dated for another year, then broke up. No drama, just life. And I never saw her dad again throughout the relationship. Although I have to admit, whenever I'm driving somewhere alone at night, I do check my rearview mirror quite a bit, making sure no one's back there. I believe that this was the spirit of her father, letting me know that he was still there, watching out for his girls. Maybe he sensed that I didn't believe it when they told me, that I had doubts, and he was showing me, it's real. See? I'm right here, behind you. Ken was saying, I'm watching you, kid. I love those stories where loved ones are still looking out for us from the other side. Very special. Gives me goosebumps. I can't wait for you to hear our next story. When I was 13, my family moved into a new house, an old 2-story place. It was October, right before Halloween, and the air always smelled like wet leaves and wood smoke. My little brother Ethan was 8 at the time. To make the move less scary, as Mom put it, Dad bought us a pair of walkie-talkies, bright yellow ones. We used them constantly, whispering through them at night, pretending we were spies or soldiers. The first few weeks were great, until Ethan started talking about Jimmy. At first, I thought Jimmy was a classmate. He'd say things like, "Jimmy told me to turn the lights off before bed. Jimmy likes this. Jimmy does that." But one night, he said, "Jimmy wants to know why you don't talk to him too." I asked what he meant, and he held up his walkie-talkie. "He's on here," he said. "He talks to me when you're not around." I asked if it was an imaginary friend, and he said no. Jimmy's real. "Jimmy lives in the house with us," he said. I chalked it up to his imagination and said that it was probably picking up someone else's frequency. We lived close enough to other houses that maybe it was the kids down the street. But the next day, Ethan began talking about Jimmy again, saying that he lived in the walls. "Jimmy says he can see us all the time, even when we sleep," Ethan said. My mom brushed it off. My dad laughed, saying, "You've got quite an imagination." But I remember the way Ethan looked when he said it. Not scared, just serious. Like he was repeating something he believed. A few days before Halloween, I decided to test it. Ethan talked about Jimmy all the time, so I told him we'd play hide and seek using the walkie-talkies. I told him to count to 50 and I'd hide somewhere in the house. Ethan was always so bad at hide and seek and would give up, so I knew this was a way I could prove that Jimmy wasn't real. I told Ethan, I'm gonna go and have Jimmy tell you where I'm hiding. Then you'll come find me. Ethan said okay and sat on his bed with his walkie-talkie. Meanwhile, I slipped into the basement, our unfinished one, with concrete floors and old wooden shelves. There was a tall cupboard built into the corner. I opened it, climbed inside, and shut the door behind me. I was hidden behind some old coats that my parents had put there. Ethan was scared of the basement, so I knew there was no chance he would even come down here. I really thought I was going to prove him wrong. I clicked on the walkie-talkie and said, "Come find me," then muttered something to myself like, "There's no Jimmy." There was silence for a few moments, and then the walkie crackled on. I was expecting to hear my brother's voice, but it wasn't. A second voice, quiet, distorted, like it came from far away, eerily whispered, "He's in the basement cupboard." I froze. Then footsteps creaked on the basement stairs. Slow, a few more footsteps. Then the cupboard door swung open and Ethan was standing there smiling. "I win," he said. I snatched the walkie-talkie from him. "Who was that, Ethan?" "I heard a voice that wasn't yours." He tilted his head and then whispered, "Don't be mad. I think Jimmy just wants to play too." I told my parents about what happened because I was thoroughly weirded out. And that night, Dad took the walkie-talkies away, said he was tired of the ghost stories. I told them about the strange voice I heard. I'm not sure if my parents believed me, but it was just me and him on those walkies, and that voice was not his. I know that with certainty, and there's no way he would have known where I was hiding. My parents ended up either throwing the walkie-talkies out or donating them, I'm not quite sure. But after we got rid of them, Ethan stopped talking about Jimmy. As we've gotten older, I've asked Ethan about Jimmy quite a few times, and he always maintains that he heard Jimmy through the walkie-talkies. He seemed to be a young boy around his age, and he liked playing with him. But after the walkie-talkies were gone, he never heard from Jimmy again. And we lived in that house for another 8 years. It was truly one of the most unsettling things I've ever experienced. Who was Jimmy? One thing I've wondered with all this AI stuff is if people are going to experience supernatural stuff, paranormal things via AI. Going to be chat ghost BT? Makes you wonder. I mean, it makes you wonder. Now, our next story. I've always loved Halloween, and I've always been interested in the weird, the paranormal, all that. My wife, not so much. She humors me, though. So, in 2018, I convinced her to take a week-long trip with me to Colorado, partly to see the mountains, partly to stay at that hotel. Yeah, the Stanley, the one that inspired The Shining. My birthday is in October, so we booked a room about a week before Halloween. Not just any room, the room. The most haunted room at the Stanley Hotel, room 217. I had to pull strings to be on a wait list, but we got it. That was the room where Stephen King stayed, and also where that housekeeper, Elizabeth Wilson, reportedly has some after-death activity. I was pumped. My wife, not so much. For those who don't know, there's all sorts of weird things that happen in that room. Guests report seeing and hearing things, their luggage being moved, unpacked, and just a very strange presence. When we got into the room, my wife said, "I swear, one weird thing and I'm out. You can stay here and I'm getting a different room." But to my disappointment, the first night was pretty uneventful. Cold, quiet. The hotel definitely has that eerie, old-world charm. Things didn't start until the second night. We were in bed, it was a little after 1 a.m., and I was having trouble sleeping. The room just felt heavy. My wife was sound asleep, facing away from me. I was about to reach for my phone when I heard it, like a door latch, a click. I froze. At first, I thought it came from the hallway, but then I realized it was our bathroom door. I sat up, and there it was. The bathroom door cracked open. I know I shut it. I always do before bed. I grabbed my phone light and aimed it at the bathroom. Nothing. I walked over there, heart pounding, and swung the door open. No one. I checked the closet, even behind the shower curtain. Empty. When I went back to bed, my wife was sitting up now, pale. "Jason," she said, "you didn't just whisper something to me, did you?" "No," I said. She swallowed hard. "I think I just heard a woman's voice." She couldn't make out what the woman said, but she was almost positive she heard a woman's voice. We both stayed up the rest of the night. She wanted to sleep with the lights on, so I agreed. The next day we debated leaving, but I was stubborn. I told myself it could have been stress, imagination. Maybe it was just me wanting something to happen. But my wife was different. She knew there was something in that room. That third night, around 3 a.m., my wife shook me awake. "Jason," she whispered, "there's someone standing at the foot of the bed." I sat up immediately. At first, I saw nothing, but as my eyes adjusted, I did. There was a figure, faint, like smoke, but human-shaped, standing there, facing us. And then everything turned on. The bathroom light, the bedroom light, and the figure was gone. It was freaky. We didn't sleep at all the rest of that night. At the front desk the next morning, I told them everything. The woman working was young and didn't even blink. Just said, "Room 217 has some activity. You're not the first to mention the woman." When I asked if it was Elizabeth Wilson, I described the figure to her. She shrugged and said some people think it is, but others think it's something older, something attached to the land. We checked out that morning. I don't know what we saw, but it wasn't sleep paralysis. We were both wide awake, and whatever it was, it didn't want to hurt us. I don't think. But it felt like it wanted us to know that it was there. Every Halloween since, we skipped the haunted houses. Nothing beats the real thing. Let me know in the comments which story was your favorite, which one spooked you the most, and let me know what you're doing to celebrate spooky season. I'm gonna spend my Halloween cuddled up on the couch watching spooky movies. I'm so excited. I hope you have the most amazing weekend. Be safe. Enjoy yourself, whether you're just hanging with yourself, a friend, family, your pets. Make it a great one. You deserve it. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel, give this video a like, and turn on post notifications so you never miss an episode. Next time, I've got so much more eeriness coming your way. Until then, check out these videos. You could pick that one. Ooh, that's a spooky one. Or that one. Oh, it scared me because that episode is so scary. Which one are you gonna pick?